So continuation from our previous discussion on HTML. So the last part we discussed about how to use style attribute. So let's continue from there. Right. And then we also discuss whenever you want to keep some comments for yourself, or maybe sometimes you have to comment out, or you want to disable part of this, you can use comments. Maybe I can quickly show you like what we could do. So if you open up the, the pages that we have developed last time, can you open up the page that we have developed? We said page number 4, right? We have developed very simple 4 pages. I'm going to open up the code first. Right. Let me share. Right. So you can see this is what we had. And when you open up the file, so you will notice that we have 4 pages. Page number 4, this is the one. And let's double click on it, and it look like this. Right. So going from this onwards, going on this onwards, so what we have discussed here is use of style sheets, right? So we discuss use of styles to change the color of the level 1 header, which we have the units of Peratini. And then we have changed the second one. We put a date, but we put it as a paragraph. We change the background color to yellow, and then we align the text into the center. The third one is about the text about the units of Peradini, where we put the background color in blue and light blue, and then we use the text color in dark blue. We use actually hash code. This part we have done. Okay, for example, use of comments. For example, we can describe what these elements are. For example, I can say that this particular paragraph is about, we can say this is about the date of the document. Right? This is a comment, which is like normally when you're working on it, you need to have some keep your notes, right? Or maybe if you're giving this to another developer to continue developing, so maybe you can mark the parts of the document. So these are core comments which will not be visible in the page. There will be nothing added here, but that you can use. At the same time, sometimes let's say part of the code we want to temporarily hide. So you can make it comment. For example, let's say this part, we have units of Peradenium. So let's say we want to put this as a comment, right? So what happens now, right? The whole part, this paragraph, make it as a comment and which will not be visible. So let me save this as page number 5 so that I'm not updating anything from the previous work. So I put number 5. Right. So the idea that I want to highlight here is you can use it to a couple of ways. One is you can make your own notes. The second one is you can temporarily, hide when you make the development. Right? So I actually commented out this piece, and you can notice that now it is not visible. And whenever you need back, you just have to, remove this. Right? You remove this, and when you save and refresh, you'll get back, right? So I hope you got the idea. Right, so that's about the comments. Actually, we discussed this last time as well. Right, going back to the slides. Yes, you can use comments in the source code, and also like sometimes you can comment out unnecessary parts, or you can temporarily disable. you can focus on one part of the document. Right, the color information also we discuss. Ideally, we mainly use red, green, and blue as a basic color combination. You can actually look at the color names. Not all the colors you can use with just name. So, for example, red, we can use as a name red. Similarly, we can use RGB values in hexadecimal values. I told you the values goes from 0 to 55. So here we have red, green, and blue. We have red is high. So that's what we have discussed. Right. So this is the place we need to discuss today. So let's start from this point. So that's about inserting images. So a couple of things I want to discuss. There are various images that you can insert. Ideally, JPEGs, IMG. Maybe I can have a separate session on the type of images you can have. But let's focus on the common formats, at least the JPEGs as PNGs, right? So, for example, if you want to create an image, you can use a simple program like Paint, and then so I want to ask whether there are like any way that we can have comments for multiple comment and single comments. Yeah, I don't think so. But let's see. I'll have a check and come back to you. So right now, or maybe I can get a new one. Okay. Okay. So here is what we have. I'm going to show you like creating an image, or you can download an image. So let me draw a simple star. So I have selected shape here, star, right? And then maybe I can put a color inside. Maybe I can use yellow, I can put inside. And then maybe I can resize this. Okay, so that, okay, it'll fix. Right, now let me save this. When you're saving, you can choose this. The common nowadays, popular at least, is PNG. So let me also save it as PNG. So I'm going to go into codes and the folder where I'm actually having. So I will say images. And then I will say star. Right. So make a note of this so that you need. So let's try to insert this into the page. So the command is, we can simply say img stands for image, and source the name of the file. Remember that we have selected as PNG, and here we have JPG. Right. So let's add that, and then let's see how it look like in our page. So I'm going to get the same page. Not this one. So maybe I will close this otherwise. Right. Okay. So this is the one. So let me say page 6. I'm going to insert some image. Right. And let's, okay. So we have the body, and then we have units of paradigm, and we have a date. Okay, after the date, let's put this image. So I'm going to say imgsrc, the source, then star dot png. That's what I have used. So let me save the file. Let's go back to the directory. So this is the place we have. So we have the file in the same folder. At the same time, we have page 6 in the same folder. So now let's double click and observe the outcome of this. So you can notice that we have a star included as image. So that's the first part, which we insert. But then again, if you make a mistake, let's see what will happen. So let's say I made a mistake. I put additional R. And we know that there's no image called star. And then when you reload, and this is how it look like. and it's break. You can see so sometimes this is happening when you're visiting web pages. There are broken images because of the problem with the links. So this will indicate there's an issue. But normally, when avoid this one, or to indicate that there was an image here, we have something called alternate text. We say ALT. And usually you have some information about the image. So we have a star. So let me put it that way. So let's refresh, and this is how it look like now. So that it will indicate that there's a star here, right? But if you actually make it correctly, this will not visible to the user, right? So it will visible as well. But when there's something goes wrong, let's say you make a mistake with the name, so then alternate text appear, right? So that's something to do with how to insert an image. It's just a single one. You have noticed we have discussed. It's called an empty element. Okay, then you can control the width and heights. Ideally, we have attributes which can use to change the size. So ideally, our screens made up of small dots we call pixels, and we can provide the length in pixel information. So when we say width and height, so you can see two attributes here, width and height attribute. We can specify width of the image and the height of the image in pixels. Right, now going back to my code, so keeping the same thing, I will keep a copy of this. Let's make it a capital star. Okay. But let's change the width and the size. So I'm going to add width equals 128. When I say 128, ideally it means I'm actually specifying the size in pixels. Width is 128. Height is also 128. Okay. So let's see what will happen. So I'm going to save it. So let's refresh the page and see. Okay, you can notice that this is the original size. Of course, you can see the size in the file. If you go back to here, we have a star PNG. If you right click on the image, and if you go to properties, okay, we have properties. So you get information about the file. So it says this is a PNG file, and this is the size and so on. Where we have the details. Okay, if you go into details, you can notice originally the size of the image is 138 and 156, right? But now I am resizing it into 120 to 128. That's what I have specified. You can see the actual image is a little bit bigger than, when you specify the width and height. Right. Now, the second one, actually, what you could do is you can use a style attribute. And this is what normally recommend, because nowadays we don't use attributes directly, especially we want to, change the size of the image. Things are separate from the structure of the elements. I told you, like, HTML tags are specify the structure of the web page, like header, like paragraph, and so on. The styles, the color, the sizes, and all we are going to actually separate with the style sheets. So therefore, normally people recommend that if you want to make a change, you can actually use a style attribute. Right now we are doing inline. Inline means that we are actually putting information in the same place, but this could be separated, which I will discuss later on. But let me show you this one as well. So in this particular case, you can notice, right? So I'm going to use my page. going back to the code, then going back to the, okay, so this is what we have. So I'm going to copy paste another line. So this is another possibility, and this is what I normally you to get familiar with. Instead of specifying this directly, the recommended approach is you use style attribute, and then you specify, you remember the style from the previous session. We have attribute and a value. So we can say, we are going to have two things. We can say width, and we have colon, 128, I will say px to specify pixels, semicolon, height, then colon, 128 pixels. Ideally, we should get very similar outcome. So let me save and let me refresh. Looks similar, but I always prefer you to get familiar with the style attribute. Right, okay. Right, so in this part, we'll focus on the insertion of background image. We'll modify, if you want to add the background image in the web page, we can modify the body attribute. And then we can include the style where we put a background image. Right. So the next one, what we are going to do, we will add an image. So let me first show you that. So I'm going to open up another file. So which one we have earlier? So page. Right, so we have page number 5. So let me save it as page number 8. I'm just going to show you like adding an image to the background. So in this particular case, currently what we have, we will notice right. So this is what we have. So let's try to put an background image. Right now, I'm going to add an background image. You have to have a background image within this. So right now I have something called cloud PNG, which I'm going to share you in the right. You can download so that you can also do the same. Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify my right. I'm going to modify my body attribute. Sorry, body tag, and I'm going to have a include style, and then the property we will use is called background dash image colon URL, and then we say clouds. It's PNG, so let me save it. Let me refresh it. So should look like this, right? I will share only that particular tag. Give it a try. Right. What actually use is I have modified the style attribute to include the background image to the body. That means the whole page. So if I increase the size of the page, it will look like this. And actually it's repeated. You can notice that the edge of the page, you can see that it's repeated. So I will discuss this part. How do you make that change with the CSS? But for the time being, whenever you apply a particular image as a background image, it usually repeated and then fill the web page. Right. But the same thing can be done with the paragraphs as well. For example, let me cut here from this one. Let me save. Let me refresh. Now we don't have a background image. Okay, let me apply the same for example, here, right? It says background color. So instead of that, I can have a background image. So like this. So I will say background image. So now what happens? You can notice I have included that information here. Refresh it. Okay, now you can notice I have make it the background within the paragraph. Now, in the World Wide Web, where this uh, particularly documented information are there, the millions of billions of web pages are connected through HTML links. And this is the something that you see uniquely. You can refer any information from one page to another. So let's see how we can actually make that happen. So you can use links to connect to the web pages. So in this particular case, I'm going to select a particular um, page. So in this particular case, I'm going to select the Peradeniya website, and I'm going to show you how we can connect from our page to the Peradeniya page. Okay. So to do that, currently I'm having this piece of code, right? And then so let's put up the date, and then after that I will put the message. So creating a link start with tag A, which stand for anchor. So it's in with /A. And then we have to specify wherever the file that we need to connect to. This is called hyperreference. We say href. And then we have to type whatever the address that you want to connect to. So the Peradeniya web address is, if you go to pdn.ac.lk, okay, so it's connecting. So we can see the whole web address is, it says https www.pdnac.lk. Even typing this part would be enough. So I'm going to just copy that part. And then I will put it here. So the idea is I want to connect to the page. And then whatever the text that should be appear, we have to type it here. So let me type something like this. Visit our website, right? So let me save. Let's go back to our file, page 9, and then see how it look like. So you can notice that there was a text called visit our web page, and it's blue color and underlined. And you can notice that when I move, you can see a hand-like icon. which indicates that this will connect to another page. So when you connect, when you click, you will notice that, okay. So the error, maybe I will put everything HTTPS colon 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 slash slash. Is it connecting now? Yes. Right. I put the whole web address. You got my point? So only then that you need to test this one, include in one of your pages, save, and then when you refresh, you should see visit our web page as a HTML link, and when you click it, it should connect to the page. Savindu, I think it's better. You have noticed that when I actually left that part, it didn't work it out. Ideally, in some of the pages, this was not mandatory, but in this particular case, I actually failed. So it's better you include everything. So ideally, many of the pages you have HTTP. This is called a protocol, but in our one, it's called HTTPS. It says HTTP secure protocol. So it's always better to include the whole web address so that you are not going to missing anything. Ideally, what happened when you do not include it, the browser ideally append that to the web the address, and it should work fine. Okay, so ideally, when you work with the links, it'll load it in the same link, right? But then again, if you wanted to load it into a separate page, right? Then we need to use special, target attribute. And then these are the values that you can use. Let me focus on the first two. So in previous case, we have seen when you click it, it'll load it in the same window, same tab. So this is the default. Default meaning like if you do not specify target, this is what will happen. But if you need to load it a new window or a tab, then use underscore blank. Right, now let me demonstrate that one as well. Going back to my page. So the earlier, my first one, I will copy paste the same thing. And then I'll put a BR here to make a line break. And then I will say this is link to. So modification that I'm going to do is the second link, I'm going to add the attribute, which is called target. So let me put this as target equals, target equals, and then I will say underscore blank. Right. So now let's see how it look like in my page. Going back to this. So you can notice two links here. I'm going to close everything so that we can see the tabs. Right now, I will have only one tab. Right now, I have only one tab. You can notice that if I click visit our website, we have one tab. And you can see it loaded with the Peradeniya website in the same tab. Let's go back. Let's click link to. You can notice that it will create a new tab. Right? So the two things, if you click the first link, which is there's no target, it will load it in the same website or same tab or a window. But if you use target blank, which indicates that you're opening a new tab. Right, maybe I can share the second one for your information. right? Right. When you move on to the web pages, you might have noticed that you can use an image. And when you click on image, it will load it to a web page. So similarly, we can do the same. The idea is you use the same instead of the text, visit our web page, we put an image. So let me demonstrate that one as well. So we'll go to the same page. Okay, this is what I have. I'm going to copy the same thing, right? So only difference is instead of this text, we have a text here, right? You use the image img, which includes the image, right? Right now I have an image I will share with you. I have something called logo. You can notice university logo, okay, which I'm going to share with you now. You can download. This is called logo.png. Right now, I'm going to, instead of the text here, right, I'm going to include img. That is image. And then we said you have used src, right? Equals, the name is logo.png. So let me save this. Let me refresh. Okay, now you can notice here. So we have seen the logo. Let me use BR here as well. Line break. Without a break, you will see that it's in the middle. So now you can see this. So you can see now the image is clickable. If you have just image, it's not clickable. So now in this image also is clickable. And when you click it, it will load it into a new tab. Right. Hope it is clear to you. So in next one, we are going to look at slightly update. So if you want to change the size and width, remember we discussed this idea earlier. You can use a style to make that change. We'll move on to the code again. Right. So I can use style attribute here. So after this, we have anchor and then image. So within this, I will add style. In the style, remember we discussed we can use specify width and height. So I'm going to use a smaller size. You can notice that 42 pixels means very small. Height is also 42 pixels. And let's see what happens. Usually when you have image clicks, you see it's in a small in size. That's the idea. And ideally, you can also say border 0. Because this is actually needed for if you use Internet Explorer and previous, otherwise there will be a border. So therefore, usually we will write border is also will set to 0. In Chrome browser, you don't see any difference, but if you are using some other, then you might notice the difference here as well. Right. That's all about insertion. Representing, when we are representing information, it's very important that you put into tables. And early days, actually, even the structuring web page done through HTML tables. So therefore, knowing how to put up tables is very, very important. So there are actually four tags you should be familiar with when you're creating a HTML table. We have a table tag, which indicates the start and end of the table. Then each row, we have a tag called tr, which represent table row. And within the row, then you can have headers and the data items. So headers means like if you have like the header, which you can notice in bold here. So these are called headers. So when you want to have headers, we use th. For data, we use td. So those are the ones we will use to create a table. Now let's say we have asked to use this given table. So the idea is you start with table and end with table. And then each row we have to have tr, right? Each row, how many rows we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So ideally we have to have 4 TRs. You can notice here, 1 TR here, ends here. This is the second one. This is the third. Sorry, how many? Okay, so here we only have 2, right? That's why. Ideally we have to have 4. We have TR, TR, TR. So in this particular case, actually code is written only for the first 3 lines. So that's why we have 3. So you have to have 4 if you want to include this one. And then each row, let's take the first one. This is the first TR, the first row. Then these are header elements. So therefore, we use TH to indicate each of these. So we are using TH, first name, then slash TH, which indicates the first one. Then the second one, this is the third one. So this is the first row. Second row, you have data items. So therefore, you start with TR, then you use TD, right? In similarly like this. Okay, maybe I will, now that we have discussed the basics, so let's look at implementing this. Right, I'm going to go one by one so that you understand everything. So maybe I will save it as uh, page number 10. And then I'll remove everything so that we'll only prepare the table. So I'm going to remove everything except the body. We'll start like this. Oh, sorry. Right. I don't have anything right now. Right. So let me save. Let me open up the page 10. Okay, we have page number 10. Yes. Okay, we have. So let me close our previous. Okay, now we are clear. So here we will have. Right. Now what I told you is you use table. Notice what you notice. Table. So you end with table. So let me save. Refresh. Nothing is shown here. Now we have to have tr for each row. So I will say tr slash tr, tr slash tr. Okay. Okay, so again, you don't see anything. So let's put values now. Reason for this is we are not specifying any border, that part, but I will discuss later on. So right now we have put a table and we specify 2 rows. Now, 2 things here. First one is th headers. Th slash th. We have one header. Let's say we have first name. And you can notice that it just appeared, right? So, so let's have the other th slash th, th slash th. What do you have? Second one, we have last name. And then next we have age. So if you save it and refresh, now you can see all the 3. Now put some values. We use td, table data slash td. So I need 3 of such. Right. I will copy paste this one for my future use. Okay. Right. Good. So the first TD we have gel. Uh, we have TD Smith. Then age is 50. Right. Now I have included my first person information, Jill Smith at 50. Right. I can include a second one as well. Okay, second one we have Eve. Jackson. It is 94. I think two lines enough for us to understand the table structure. So now so in previously we have not seen a border, but if you use border attribute, we can see a border like this. Usually this is not recommended. Better to use the CSS style. So I'm going to show you like how you might apply style. So far we have used style attribute like this, right? And then you have to specify whatever the style attribute. In this case, we have to specify border. I can say 1 pixels, and this is how it look like. I forgot the semicolon, right? So what was there? Uh,
Sir, add the color too.
okay, maybe should I say black? Okay, maybe solid. Yes. Okay. Thanks. One issue with this one, when you put a style like this, we are adding a border with the 1 pixel size, solid, meaning the type of line you can have solid line, dash line, and so on. And this one specify the color. So you can see we will have everything around this one. So ideally, if you want to have it everywhere, you have to have this in all the other places. That means with the headers like this. Let me show you. You can notice, right? Which means all the th, I have to copy this. This is tedious task if you want to do this. This is not recommended. So therefore, we need a way to specify for every table, every th and every td attribute to include this one. So when you have a situation like this, the recommended way is we will have it as a, in the same way we can specify for everything together. So let me show you how to do this. So I'm going back again. Yes, and I'll remove this part as well. Now you got the point. I want to apply it to everything. So one way is we can include it in the header section. So in the header section, we can have style, and we can end also with the style. So the the way to specify this one is we want to use border style for table. So we can actually say only for the table like this. I can say the same thing that I have said, 1 pixel border with solid and black. So if you put link, this is the format normally we will use when we are including styles. So this will apply only to the table. So let me save it, refresh it, and you can see it's applied. Now, if you want to have multiple, you can copy like this if you want. You can do that. So we can say for TR. So every table row, it applies a border, save, and refresh. Ideally, it should work, right? Yeah. So maybe, yeah, we'll put everything table TR. Oh, so we can comma this. We have TH and TR. So if you put it like this, you can notice that, okay, it should be TD. I want to apply a table header as well as data. Right. So you can notice here. So what I've been doing is for each table, header and table data, we are applying the style border 1 pixel solid in black. And then we separately, we put out in the header section under style, which will apply. So all the table row, sorry, table header and table data. Right, but it's still not look like borders, but you have noticed like why it is happening. For each one we are applying the border, and that's why. So to do that, we can include one more statement. We can say for the collapse. So now observe, once you do that properly, it will now look like a table, right? The ordinary table that we have normally seen in other documents. So this is the part we have discussed early. You applying the style to create a border. And we get the border like this. You will see like multiple borders because we are applying for the table and each header and the table. But when you use collapse, it becomes just single border like this, which is something that we see normally. Right. Okay. Now, the next thing that I would like to discuss is sometimes we merge rows and columns. I think merging, you are familiar with when you're creating tables in Word, for example. So similarly, if you want to make it a table with spanning two more columns or the rows, we call span here. That means, for example, here you can notice that Bill Gates has two telephone numbers, and then the telephone is spanning into two columns. So ideally, in this particular case, this particular header spans two columns, right? And that's what we span here. We use call span to say that, okay, the telephone, this header is spanning two columns, and it will print it like this. So you can notice that we have two rows. We have TR, TR. And the first one, we have only name and telephone. We have no name and telephone. And we say column span to two. So this is, although we have just one header, it will span in two columns. Whereas the second row, you can notice we have three elements, TD, specifying name, and the two telephone numbers. So if I quickly use this one, we can try same one. So let's say I'm going to use another table. two TRs, right? And we have TH, TH. We have name and telephone, right? And here we have TD, and we have three of such, right? So let's put the same values. We have Bill Gates, and then we'll have the first number, and we have a second number. So let me save and let me refresh. So you can see now I have two tables. Maybe I'll put a BR here so that we have a break in between. Right, so this is what we have. So you can notice here we have two elements. Here we have three elements. This is header and this is data. So this is what we want to span into two columns. That's what we will use here. We say table header. We'll say col span. So here we will stress how many columns you need to span. So we need to span into two. So you can notice here 1 and 2. So we span these two columns. And when I save and refresh, it looks like this. Right. Now this is column span. And similarly, we can talk about, row span as well. Now, for example, let's say we will have the same table in the other way around. What do you mean by other way around? I'll have the name here and then the Bill Gates here and the two telephone numbers. So shall we try that? So in the same way, I will update the same. I'll put a BR and let's have a table. So in this particular case, I'm going to have, actually we need three rows this time. So one is, I will use this one. So if you refresh right now, these are the two values. And then we need table data, right? So I will copy paste this one. We need this here. Right? And then the first one will come here. Right? Let's see how it look like now. So we have name, Bill Gates, telephone, this one. So we need another one somewhere here and we want to span the columns, right? So for that, what we need to do, we need to use TR, but this time we have just one TD, which indicates the last value, that is this one. Okay, so this is only what we have. So if you do that, it looks like this. Now what I want to do is we want to span this into this row, and then this will be pushed to here. So to do that, what we do, we say here, this time I want to span row span, and we will say, okay, I want to span two rows. So in this particular case, you can notice, right? I'm spanning two rows here. So ideally, if you are comfortable with the columns call span and row span, you should be able to, develop any table you like. Right. So the two things that we have discussed is how to span the columns and then the rows. So this one we use that attribute called span. We specify how many columns we need to span. Here we will use row span, how many rows that we want to span to create a table like this. Right. So the next one is how do you add a caption? So ideally, when you have a table, you can have a table caption. So for that, you can use caption, and then you can write down whatever the information that you want to display as a caption for that table. So in this particular example, we have a table with 3 rows, month and savings, and then we use a caption monthly savings here. So I think you can try it later on. So let me switch my discussion to creating lists now. There are 3 types of lists we are going to discuss: unordered list, then ordered list, and description lists. So unordered list means there's no order in this list. So ideally, if you look at this example, coffee, tea, and milk, just a list of items we put down. If you want to specify something like this, the code that you have to use is you have to use UL to indicate that you start a unordered list, end with /UL. And then each item we call list item, LI, indicated using LI. So you can use LI, coffee /LI, and so on. So going back to my code. So let's move on. Let me save it as page 11. I'm going to specify just the list of items so I can remove all this. And I don't need this one as well. Right. The idea is I'm going to have unordered list. And then each one we can have a list item. See LI. So for example, coffee. Let me save it. Going back to my folder, we are creating page number 11, and this is how it look like. Now, next is the mark that you have used here. This is called disk, right? And you can change it. Again, the change is you have to use the style attribute. So the command is we can say style. Okay, we can specify list style type. And then this is disk. And nothing will be changed because this is default. But then there are a few values you can use. You can use circle, and this is how it looked like. So instead of fill circle earlier, just you have a circle here. Then you can have square. You look at a square shape, and also sometimes you can use none as well without anything, right? So these are the options available for you. So let me use circle. Hope you got the point. Yes, give it a try. So I'm going to share the code with you. Right, going back to this, there are many styles we can perform. So you can notice that there are many looks you can have, nice without anything and with some graphical elements. We can have images, for example. We can make a look like as a buttons. right? Or like the tab headers, that also one possibility. So there are many looks we can use for unordered list. This part we'll discuss under CSS part. How do you create a button, for example, or set of button use together with the unordered list. Right, let's move on to the next one. So the next one, I'm going to see the ordered list of items. You can notice the type you can specify, right? So you can try the same thing with OL. This is how it look like. Right. Again, when it comes to the order list, we can use the same. So let me take the same thing, and then we can use as an order list. Maybe I will change it here. I can say OL. I'll remove the style attribute for the time being, and then use /OL. So this will create an ordered list of items. And when you refresh, you can notice the first part we have OL and then unordered list. So you can specify how it look like. So we have 1, 2, 3. This is called the decimal, but you can change it to something else in the same way. So you can use a similar style. We can put it here, for example. And here the values, we can use upper alpha. So let me save it, refresh it. You can say capital ABC. So if you need simple, you can use lower alpha. We have simple ABC. Then we can have upper Roman. So for example, we say upper. Right? So hope you can try with the different values for OL. So ideally options are decimal, low alpha, upper alpha, lower Roman, and upper Roman. So if you want uh, description list, or sometimes we call definition list, which we use to group terms and then the descriptions. Now, for example, we can say coffee is a black hot drink and milk is a white, cold drink. So in that particular case, we can use a description list. So this list starts with DL and ends with DL, and each term we can define using DT, and each item we say data. This is called description term, definition and description term. So DT and DT, right? Going back to the code, I can say the description list and end with the DL. Then we have description term we call DT, and here we say coffee slash DT. Sorry. And then we have DD. Can say okay, black. So this should be slash. That's weird. And then we have the next one. We say, right, DT, milk, DT, we say milk, say white, cold drink, right? So it looked like this. So with that, I think I would like to conclude today's session. We discuss main elements of HTML. So the next we'll discuss about HTML blocks and also the form elements, right? Make sure that you practice and come, especially those who are new to this part.